Hi you guys, welcome to today's video. If you didn't know me already, my name is Anna and today I'm going to be showing you how I created this makeup look using the Soft Glam palette by Anastasia, Beverly Hills, and I'm going to be giving you guys some tips and tricks along the way on how you can do eyeshadow for your hooded eyes. So if you guys want to see my thoughts on how this palette worked, then please keep on watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below and give a thumbs up for this video if you liked it, and then you will see me in a few minutes without makeup. Good luck! I just went ahead and zoomed you guys in a little bit closer so you can really see what I'm doing here while I am explaining these steps. As you can see, I already did my eyebrow and I laid down a base for my eyeshadows. I did this with just applying some concealer and setting it with some loose powders, and that's it. As for our first step, we're going to be applying a white eyeshadow to our eyelid. I like to use the Tempera eyeshadow from the Soft Glam palette for this. This is a shade which we also saw in the Modern Renaissance and it is just one of my favorite white base eyeshadows. I'm going to be applying this eyeshadow with a Sigma Eye Shading E55 brush, and I'm just going to be packing on some color and apply it to the lid. Because I have such a fair skin tone, you can't really see the eyeshadow and I can take it up as high as I want to, just because it won't show up off of my skin tone. But if you have a darker skin tone than I do, don't take up the eyeshadow so much as I am doing. This is just because then the white eyeshadow will show up on your eye and you don't really want the eyeshadow to overcast the darker colors which we will be applying in the next few steps. So if you have a darker skin tone, just limit the white eyeshadow to where you're going to be placing other eyeshadows on top of it. Next up, it is time to apply some eyeshadow in our crease. As for eyeshadows in our crease today, I'm going to be using the burnt orange shade from the Soft Glam. This is also a color which we saw in the Modern Renaissance palette and is one of my favorite eyeshadows to apply into my crease. For this today, I'm going to be using a Sigma Diffused Crease E38 brush. This is one of my favorite brushes to apply some eyeshadow into my crease. Now, a tip for if you have hooded eyes and you want to apply eyeshadow in your crease is that you have to take it up higher than most people do. Normally you would see that people would apply the crease color right in between the part where your eyeball ends and this bone socket begins, but when we would open our eyes, all of that lid space is gone because of the hoodedness, and therefore we're going to be applying the crease color a little bit higher, blend it up a little bit higher so it's visible whenever we just look straight to people or to cameras or whatever. So I'm just picking up some of this shade onto my brush and I'm going to be looking down a bit. This just helps me, and we're going to be buffing this in with some wind wiper motions, make some circular motions in between. And as you can see right now, I have only applied it into the crease directly. And when I open my eyes, you can't barely see the shadow anymore. So therefore we're going to be placing it a little bit higher. So now I'm going higher, as you can see, with the same wind wiper motion technique which I am using. And now, because I've applied the eyeshadows a bit higher, whenever I look straight into the camera, you can see the burnt orange eyeshadow better. Now for intensity, I'm just going to be picking up some more, blending it away until I get the intensity of the eyeshadow which I'm looking for. Now just keep in mind that sometimes defining your crease and to make the eyeshadow look nice, softly blended, it takes time. Sometimes I just sit here for 5 minutes trying to get this eyeshadow nice and tapered and diffused. So just take your time for this step. If you're having trouble with bringing up the color high enough, what you can do instead of looking down into the mirror while applying your eyeshadow to your crease is just looking straight into the mirror, because that will give you a very good view of what your eyeshadow will look like whenever you just look normal straight to someone or in the mirror. And make sure you blend out these edges nice and well. And one thing which I always like to do is keeping the color more concentrated on the outer part of my eyes, just because it gives a very nice tapered blended look and it kind of makes your eyes seem bigger as well. And now that I have the crease blended out nice how I want it, it's time to move on to the next step. As for the next step, I'm going to be applying a bit of a darker shade into my crease. This is because today we're going to be working to a darker color, so we want to have a gradient from lighter to darker. To achieve this look, I'm going to be using the Rustic eyeshadow from the Soft Glam palette, and I'm going to be applying this with the Sigma Small Taper Blending E45 brush. This is one of my favorite brushes as well to use for this. So I'm just going to be picking up some of this color. And with the taper blending brush, I'm once again looking down a bit more into my mirror so that I can see it better and pack the color into the crease. And first just make a layout of where you want this color to be. And just remember not to pack on too much the first time when going into this shadow, because you can always build up more color, but it's really hard to get the intensity down of an eyeshadow. So now I'm just going to be going back into my Sigma Diffuse Crease brush, which we used for the burnt orange shade, and I'm going to be diffusing the top part of the eyeshadow, which we just laid down. And just going back and forth, taking the time, looking into the mirror from a distance and up close, just so you can get a really good view of what you're doing. And now that I've diffused the color, I want more intensity, so I'm picking up some more shadows and laying it down. And then I'm going back in with the first brush we used and diffusing it again. Like this. Now we're going to be applying some more warmth into our look. This is just a personal preference of mine, and just because I want to use as much shadows as I can with this look. Therefore I'm going to be going in with the same E45 Small Taper Blending brush by Sigma, and I'm going to be dipping into the Sienna eyeshadow, which is a bit more of a darker red color. And I'm just going to be applying this over the part where we just laid down that Rustic eyeshadow, just so we can get some more warmth into this eye. Once again, I'm just placing it on top of here, and now I'm going to be going back with my E38 brush and once again just diffusing the top part. And remember to bring it up a bit higher so it is visible even though we have hooded eyes. These eyeshadows are blending amazingly. This is the first time that I'm using this palette, and I didn't want to lay down a whole base with foundation and everything, just because you never know with fallout, but this is working perfectly. I have zero fallout anywhere. And it's just the same type of formula with some Modern Renaissance eyeshadows have, but there I still do have some problems with fallout. Like, it's not the end of the world of course, but just so you know, as for a reference. And that's it, you guys. This is how I want my crease to be defined with all of the colors. So now it's time to pack on some color onto the lid. As for packing on the color onto the lid, you really have two options. You can either use your fingers or a good packing brush. Today I'm going to be using one of my favorite packing brushes, which is the MAC 239 brush, and I'm going to be digging into my Cyper Umber eyeshadow. This is once again another shade which you also have in Modern Renaissance, but I don't really mind because this is like my most used eyeshadow from that palette. I just love this brown so much, so I'm packing it all over across my lid. And here you can see I do have a tiny bit of fallout, but I didn't tap off any excess from the brush, so that was expected. And now you can see we kind of have a line right there between the eyeshadows from our crease, and which we just packed on. So we're going to be diffusing this again. And to diffuse the color which we have packed onto our lid with our crease, I'm going to be using the Sigma Taper Blending E40 brush. And I'm just going to be blending the top part again together. You don't want to go across your lid too much, because then you will be diffusing the intensity of the brown eyeshadow, which we want to keep. So just focus your blending onto the top part of the eyeshadows. Now last up, because I find this eye looking a bit boring right now, I'm going to be using my index finger to take up some of this bronze eyeshadow which we have. And as you can see, with the slightest touch you get amazing pigmentation from this palette. And I'm just going to be packing this on a little bit on the center of the brown eyeshadow, just to give it somewhat of a more bang and not to make the eye look so boring and just a brown smoky eye. Just give it a bit more. Like this. So now I'm going to be zooming you guys out, and I'm going to be finishing my base and apply some of the crease colors to my lower lashes, and then I will be back.
Visions of you and I see you all around my way. Been meaning to say hi, but I'm just way too shy. I gotta make you see this is more than just a silly crush. And I wonder if you even notice me. You gotta feel me.
I ended up applying some lashes, doing my foundation and everything, and I'm losing my voice right now. And I also applied some of the burnt orange and the rustic eyeshadow underneath my eyes, just to bring the whole look kind of together. And I highlighted, of course, with the also new Anastasia Beverly Hills Breezy highlighter. It's absolutely amazing, and I applied this on the high points of my face and my inner corners. So I hope you guys learned something today, some tips and tricks on how you can do eyeshadow for your hooded eyes to define the crease, and I hope you guys like me using the Soft Glam palette. I really like this palette as well. It has almost no fallout. The eyeshadows are very pigmented, they're very buildable, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of this baby, I suggest. So without any further ado, you guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye bye!